once people agree to something, it's very difficult for them to go back and say, I don't agree with it anymore. And so if you get small yeses, micro agreements, they're coming along with you, you're checking temperature, they're with you. These incremental commitments lead to a position of confidence and certainty for the client. And so each small yes then increases the probability of the final close, which is really, in our mind, the big yes. But if you do this correctly, it's not a big yes at the end. It's a natural close. We call it the no close presentation for a reason, because when you get to the end, it's a natural close. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. I'm in studio with Zach Attack.
Yes, sir. We're podcasting today.
We're podcasting.
Yep.
It's just today.
Just today.
Guys, I'm going to let you know a little secret. Sometimes we batch record. You know what that means? We record multiple episodes close to each other, and we don't record like the same day we release. So we are recording podcasts today.
Sometimes it's tight, though. Sometimes it's the day before.
It is. Adam, you do a great job, man. Shout out to Adam for doing a great job on the podcast. Today, Zach, we're jumping in, talking about one of the most underutilized, powerful tools in the sales process. We talked about it 2 nights ago at the Telesales Bootcamp when we were debriefing. Mm-hmm. Tom Hopkins, sales guru, real estate guy, he wrote a book a long time ago called Act Like a Lamb, Sell Like a Lion. And he says there's a secret in this little concept called a tie down. And he called them trial closes. Oftentimes when we're in the sales process, we're trying to get to the end, trying to get to the big close. And he said you shouldn't focus on the big close at the end. You should focus on the little closes or the trial closes, because if you get a series of little yeses, they add up to a big yes. I've never forgotten that. We actually had him in live to speak to us and our sales team at my former company. And that was one of the big takeaways. So today we're talking about tie downs and micro agreements. What the heck is a tie down and a micro agreement, Zach?
Well, you've kind of explained it there a little bit. And the reason I love this topic so much is because, if there ever was a secret sauce or secret line or magic words to sell policies, it's actually tie downs. It's more of a concept rather than a particular word that you're saying. Mm-hmm. But if you're following and you can really take away this concept here, it really is everything we need. And coming off of the LIA boot camps, that always refreshes us with what are some of the current issues that agents are dealing with in the field, on the phone, right now, and what are some things and tools and resources that we can give to almost jumpstart their day for the next day, as we did in the debriefs. And tie downs was one of the topics. It should always be a topic, in my opinion, but tie downs are nothing more than having a positive statement followed by an affirmative response question. The easiest way for me to think of it, because I always do these goofy analogies, it's kind of like a thermometer, right? We're constantly checking the temperature with our clients to make sure that they're still cooking, to make sure that they're with us, cooking. Making sure they're understanding.
See if your brisket's moving along.
That's right. Because if not, we may have to turn up the temperature or something, right? Like we would make adjustments if it's not moving along in the manner of which we wanted it to. Mm-hmm. So,
or if they're getting cold, the propane's gone out, or there's not enough charcoal or wood chips in the smoker.
You're exactly right. And we were actually we just finished a Life Insurance Academy coaching series on the psychology of handling objections. And so if you weren't a part of that, you guys need to sign up. You need to get on the website. You need to be a part of our coaching, which is every Thursday at 10:30 Eastern time. It's phenomenal, and you can engage, ask questions, comments. It's unbelievable. But we actually covered some tie downs in that, because not only does tie downs allow us to have that trial close, and allows us to move through and continue to check temperature to get the client to the better position that we want them to get to. But it also will allow us to know that if there's a misunderstanding, if there's a disconnect, if there's an objection, we can address it at the source. We can overcome that objection right here, right now, rather than just steamrolling and getting all the way through the end and getting I want to think about it.
Yeah.
I need to talk to my spouse, knowing we actually lost them 25 minutes ago.
Correct.
in the presentation.
And a lot of new agents have no idea that they lost it early because they were
100%.
steamrolling and they weren't checking temperature. They were a guide that ran way ahead of the people they were leading, and when they turned around, no one was following. How do you know you're a leader? When you turn around, people are following you. How do you know you're not a leader? You turn around and there's no one there.
Yeah,
right?
and here's what we understand from doing this for so long and teaching it is the moment a client doesn't understand or they're confused or they're just not on the same page, they lose focus, they lose attention, and they're not able to grasp or gather any information from that point on.
Yeah, correct. It's interesting. The idea of tie downs, right? If you think about tie down, because some of you are hearing us say this word tie down or micro agreement might be a better way to say that. But I think a tie down is a specific visual concept. Like if you were setting up a tent for your family and you were going camping and you had to get that tent set up, oftentimes if the weather's really good, you can just kind of lay out that tent. But then the first thing you got to do before you start standing that tent up is you got to stake down the corners.
Yep.
And then you're staking down the front, side, the back, and the end. You do that so that if wind comes along, there's a gust of wind, it doesn't take the whole tent away. It may only move part of it, but everything else stays intact. So everything up to that point is good, right? And that's what a tie down, if you think about, if you're putting a cover over your boat or something like that, and you've got to put straps and you tie it down so the weather doesn't get in. You don't want the whole thing to flap away in a giant gust of wind.
Yeah, Jade and I just recently went off-roading with side-by-sides, and we used straps to tie down the side-by-sides on a trailer. And listening to all your examples and what it is, this is nothing different than the sail that we're making. We're securing something.
That's it.
We're making sure it's stable.
You're securing it at this point.
Yep.
And then you're securing it at another point.
But what does it do for us? It gives us confidence to let them know, I'm confident in where we are. I'm confident in what the client understands, and I'm confident that we can continue to move forward to the next step.
Because they're secure.
Yep.
Because your client is secure.
Yep.
They're moving with you.
Yep.
And if you get those side-by-sides tied down properly at all the right points, it becomes secure, and then you can get on the highway and roll down the highway at 70 miles an hour, and it's fine because it's secure. So if you think about that analogy in terms of the sales process, where throughout your presentation are you doing that? Or why is it even important? So why micro agreements even matter? I would say there's a psychology of the yes or a psychology of agreement. If you think about human communication, people generally don't like big commitments all at once.
No.
Right? Especially you.
Absolutely me. Absolutely me.
Especially you.
And that's kind of where the term the hard close comes from. Right?
Yeah. Some people are easier to move to a place. Yes, I'm in. Like if you get the party people and we should do something fun. Yeah, let's do it. Other people are like analyzing what can go wrong. What's
that's
needed,
Roger, and then that's me.
What's needed to actually make sure it's secure? Is everybody going to be there? Did we communicate properly to everyone? Does everyone know where to show up and where we're leaving from? Do you know what to bring? And the people who are just yeses without all of the need for all the other things, they're gone. They're already gone. They're moving.
Yep.
And the other people are standing around thinking, why didn't they tell us when and where to start? Right. So people process things differently.
Yep.
And so there's this psychology of agreement, and generally speaking, it's better to address all of the information and make sure it's secure for everyone instead of just having a few people run out. Because if you think about it, if you're only speaking to the people who are going to jump and say yes easily, we call those laydowns.
Yeah.
Laydowns. Those are the low hanging fruit. Those are going to be the people that buy anyway. They're ready to move. Everyone else, you have to actually communicate to them like a normal human And it has to go from head to their emotion, because life insurance sales, after all, is an emotional sale. They're trying to protect someone they love. And so it's about a love emotion at the heart of it. And then it comes back to logic. And so we need to address these things going through. People don't like big commitments all at once. They feel safe with small yeses. So if you can get into agreement. In fact, I was listening to one of the new agents that's been working with us, a young man by the name of Jack Stanley. Jack, I'll give you a shout out here on the podcast. He was on a call with a client, and I was listening in through our system. So I was listening into the call. I wasn't really saying anything to him at this point, but I was listening to the conversation. And he got to one point, and I just spoke in his ear, and I said, check in to see how she's doing. And he said, so how are we feeling right now with the information? Or do you understand everything I've covered so far? Does this make sense, right? And he just checked in. And this was the exact words that came out of her mouth. I'm like, yes. I mean, it couldn't have been better the way she responded. She said, I'm feeling very comfortable.
Wow.
Like that was such a great response from the client. She goes, I'm feeling very comfortable. So much so, and he's never heard that response before, and it kind of threw him off. He said, did you say you're comfortable? Right? And she said, yes, the way you're speaking to me, the way you're stopping and making sure I understand, it's making me feel very comfortable and good about doing this. Mm-hmm. And he was doing that. He's a very intentional person. And Jack is almost too methodical, and like he stays in the moment. But I would say he's one of the most conscientious communicators, and he used that moment to secure that tie down. And she said, "I feel very comfortable." So each micro agreement lowers the resistance and keeps the momentum moving forward. Are you ready to launch your insurance career? Excel Solutions is your go-to leader in life, accident, and health insurance pre-license training. Their cutting-edge e-learning platform is packed with rich content. Think interactive assessments, engaging videos, and customized learning paths, all tailored to your learning style. Being students ourselves, we've trusted Excel now for years to deliver top-notch training, offering high pass rates. Their streamlined prep review courses and the exam simulator are really your secret weapons to nailing the state exam the very first time. Now, you thought it couldn't get any better. Well, it just did. Life Insurance Academy listeners, you receive an epic 50% discount, reducing the regular course fee from $199 to only $99. So, all you have to do is use partner code LIA at liapodcast.org/Excel. Now, Excel spells XCEL. So don't think about it any longer. Dive headfirst into your insurance career with Excel Solutions Premier Pre-License Training with that exclusive 50% discount just for you. Get the code, get licensed, and excel in your insurance career.
We've used this example many times, and I actually used it on the coaching call that we did. But when we talk about being a trail guide and being an effective trail guide, and I know you've got to do some really cool hikes all over the place, Kilimanjaro, Colorado a ton, all the 14ers. I got a chance to go experience Zion, which is really cool. But like a good trail guide, you're going to have different groups with you. Mm-hmm. You're going to have one person that has done all the research ahead of time. They know every mountain range. They know the names of the trails, the nicknames, what to look out for. Those are going to be the people in the front of the line that are going to try to push the trail guide further. But the trail guide has to know he has a job to do to keep everybody in line. Then you have the middle of the pack group that know a little bit, that like it, that understand a little bit of insurance but are unsure. They're here, they're listening. That's going to be probably the bulk of our clients. And they're going to be slightly behind that eager group. And then all the way in the back are going to be people that don't really understand how this works at all. They don't really know the differences in the plans. They've never seen these trails before. And they're going to kind of be in awe, probably a little overwhelmed. They're stopping and looking. They're taking pictures. And us being that good trail guide, we are going to stop at those different sections or those different points of the presentation or script to allow everybody to catch up, regardless of what speed they are. Hence, if we do it the right way every time, it will encompass all of the different types of people we talk to. If we don't, then we have a chance of missing some of those people, allowing everybody to catch up, making sure everybody understands on their speed before we can move along.
Yeah.
And these tie downs are absolutely crucial. And in that example of Jack and the example of anybody, a lot of new agents typically have just learned their script. They're getting to the point where they can memorize it, and their mindset is to continue to flow through it.
Yeah.
When you use tie downs, you incorporate engagement. We know to go from good to great in selling, it's the more the client talks and the more they engage with you. So it promotes that.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to be more concerned, more compassionate, and allows the client to be able to speak and participate rather than us just bulldogging them all the way through.
Well, the client stays connected.
Yes.
The client stays connected. And there's a good word. So what Zach said, it creates engagement, it fosters communication, and the client stays connected to the process. Brian Tracy, famous sales leader, calls this the law of incremental commitment. The law of incremental commitment. And one of the big 8 principles of influence in selling is this principle of consistency. And once people agree to something, it's very difficult for them to go back and say, I don't agree with it anymore. Right? And so if you get small yeses, micro agreements, they're coming along with you, you're checking temperature, they're with you, they move forward. Does this make sense? Yes. Mm-hmm. These incremental commitments lead to a position of confidence and certainty for the client. And so each small yes then increases the probability of the final close, which is really, in our mind, the big yes. But if you do this correctly, it's not a big yes at the end. It's a natural close. We call it the no close presentation for a reason, because when you get to the end, it's a natural close. Probably a natural close or a no close, it's almost synonymous if you word it that way. So what are some examples of this, like why micro agreements matter? Some examples that you can use here is, I trust that this makes sense so far. Like it was similar to Jack's micro agreement question, or I think you would agree that protecting your income is important, right?
Yeah.
And when you make that positive statement followed by affirmative response question, you're giving space for the client to say yes, right. Zach just said right after I gave the example, or that's something you'd want for your family, right? Yeah.
And the cool thing about this is that positive statement, in a nice, gentle way, Roger's kind of putting words in their mouth. He's saying something that they may be feeling, they just haven't had words for it yet, and he's helping them express that and get that out. And when they say right, or we have the affirmative response question of, wouldn't it, doesn't it, wouldn't you, right, isn't that right? Any of those affirmative response questions, it now allows me as the client to agree with that and then take ownership of that prior sentence. So that now becomes my feeling, and it will help me to open up and express some of these vulnerabilities and ultimately the solution to solve those.
Yeah. So let's go on here. We're going to move into kind of like the second phase of this. So first one was why microagreements. The second one is where to use them, where to use microagreements or tie downs. And I would say the first part, Zach, is when we're building that core with people. And it's really rapport and discovery. We call it core. Core is just an acronym for children, occupation, recreation, and emotion. The emotion refers to why were they even looking for coverage to begin with, and it gets to the emotional heart of the matter. Yep. So core, some people use the word form, family, occupation, recreation, message. And so it gets you into a position where you're into this rapport and discovery phase. And this is probably the first place to use microagreements.
Absolutely. And I thought you were going to ask me where you can do them, and I find myself doing them in every day of life. I speak in tie downs unintentionally. It just so happens, it's been so ingrained in what I do that now I just kind of do that. But some examples, and when we talk about core, we talk about form, we talk about rapport building, it's really just all connecting. So some examples could be if we're in a conversation with one of our clients here, and And maybe we start to get to know their kids or their grandkids, and we can simply commend them and use a tie down by saying, I can tell by the way that you're talking about your children and your grandchildren that your family is the most important in the world to you, aren't they?
Yeah.
And
yes.
The key thing to notice is how we're saying those things. We're not saying them emotionless. We're saying them as, we're empathetic. We understand. We're lowering our tone, and we're talking to them like real humans, like real people. And I think that is so cool. Another one could be, I can just tell by how you and your husband interact, or the fact that you guys are sitting here on the phone together, that you both still really love each other, don't you? And, of course he's going to say, yeah, I do. And sometimes I even play a little bit more on that. And he goes, man, I can tell, Mr. Jones, you really love your wife, don't you? Yes, I do. Now, Mrs. Jones, let me ask you this. I know he probably tells you he loves you when he leaves the house, or if he, goes to bed at night or something. But when's the last time you've heard him tell somebody else completely that he loves you? She'd be like, well, it's been a while. It's like, and how does that make you feel, Miss Jones? After all those 30 years of being married, how does that make you feel to know that spark is well alive? And they laugh and giggle, and it kind of creates that back together.
It's a powerful moment. Again, I had another agent on in the most recent boot camp, and going through really what the benefit was for, what they were thinking about. And they were talking about their 2 adult children and their grandchildren, almost in the exact same scenario. And she had lost her husband, right? And her husband had a good life insurance policy in place. And he had passed away several years ago. And that was a real blessing to the family when that happened. But yet, for some reason, she didn't have a policy. And so ever from that time till now, it was like 2 years ago, she's been thinking about doing this. And she's felt like she's procrastinated. And so as the agent was talking this through, like, why were you thinking about this? Well, like, my kids need it. Like, if I don't, I need to do this for them. It's important that I take care of it. Like, that's my responsibility. And the agent talked a little more and asked more questions about, why was it so important now? And then that's when the conversation came up about the husband passing away and the situation, the 2 years that had transpired. And she felt in that 2 years that she was vulnerable. Like, I don't know why I waited this long, because I think about it all the time. And then when I saw the ad, and I wanted to respond to it, and I just need to get something in place for them, because that was really good. And the agent went on and said, I can tell that your husband probably made most of the big decisions for you, didn't he? Like, took care of the details. And she said, yes, he did. How could you tell that? I could tell by the way you spoke about him, and I could tell that he was the guy who took care of the details on the stuff for your life. And she said, yes, he did. And now that's falling on you, isn't it?
Yep.
She said, yes, it is. But I can also tell that you're a good mom, aren't you? Yes.
And you're just speaking in tie-downs now.
Right? So all of those, and the agent literally was, and I don't even know if the agent noticed that they were doing it intentionally, but it just does my heart so good. When we're trainers here and we're trying to help people learn how to communicate in a way that they're understanding that you're communicating to a real human who has real life issues, who have real family members with real names and their real circumstances, and some of them are hard and some of them are good, and you're just talking to a human, and you're acknowledging the story of their life, and you're saying, I understand, and this is what I see. That's correct, isn't it? Yeah, but they're speaking in tie downs, and
it pulls the emotion out.
Yes.
That needs to happen. It needs to be there. But this relationship and interaction is so new. A lot of times people just don't on their own to open up. This invites them and gives them words for their feelings to open up and communicate about these vulnerabilities, which makes it really cool.
The next place, probably the biggest place that we can use it, is in the stakes. When we get into the stakes, or when we're discovering what the issues are, what the problems are. And here's a good example, right, where you can reinforce urgency or you can elicit a sense of urgency in this. And so if something happened tomorrow and your income, it would stop. But the bills keep coming, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I know that we don't like to think in light of that, so sudden. But one day, at some time, one day, that's going to happen for all of us. And my question is, when that happens, I'm assuming you'd want to have everything as prepared as you could for your family, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Again, you're here in the stakes area where we're talking about what's at risk, what is there to gain, and it's a great place to use a tie down.
And that's also, especially if we are new agents, and sometimes new agents typically, I wouldn't say purposely fool, but they kind of avoid or don't understand the importance of the emotion. And when you can open up the stakes portion of your presentation or script with a tie down, it is a perfect segue. It's a perfect invitation for you to follow up that tie down with why is that important to you to make sure your family's taken care of?
Yeah.
Now, Miss Jones, she may say, well, I don't have anything in place and I don't want that to fall on them. And Miss Jones, I hear that from a lot of folks, but why does that matter so much to you? Mm-hmm. And that second layer of asking that is going to open up so much more emotion. And then we can segue into that emotional excavation Chris talks about a lot.
Yeah.
And, so what would happen if you passed away today without anything?
Yeah.
Who would be responsible for taking care of that? Where would they go get the money? How would that make them feel in order to have to do that? And if you were to look down from the heavens and to know that they were going through that, how would that make you feel?
Yeah.
And again, not doing it that fast, sitting in those moments and allowing her to answer and painting that picture, but just trying to show the progression of questions and how we can, use those tie downs to easily segue us in to that. And then also pulling us back out of that. I can tell your family's the most important in the world to you, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. During the actual presentation is the next area, or during your presentation of your content or your education piece. Oftentimes when we're speaking about life insurance, I'll use final expense as an example. One of the things that a lot of seniors are getting exposed to when they turn 55, 60, 65 are ads from AARP, New York Life, Globe Life, all these different companies, and they don't know whether it's term insurance, accidental insurance, whole life. Oftentimes we're educating people on the different areas.
Should be.
Yeah, we should be. We're educating people on the different types of insurance, and we're educating on what a whole life final expense plan can do for somebody, different than an accidental or different than a term policy. And so tie downs, as an example, during your content or your education phase, like when you have something in place for your final expenses, you'd want that to be there when you pass away for your family, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in thinking about the difference between term insurance and whole life, term being for a period of time and whole life being for your whole life, regardless of how old or when you pass away, I'm assuming you understand that having something that's permanent is going to be necessary to take care of your final expenses and guarantee it, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
So you're using tie downs to communicate, but you're inviting people into the conversation as you're educating. Another one is like one option for final expenses is to do nothing. Mm-hmm. And we know that's not an option for you because you've told me how important this is for your family. Isn't that right?
Yep.
And so these are all parts of the presentation. And instead of just telling, you're engaging. And sometimes you need to even pause. We were talking about I had a lady by the name of Lori for an interview on the podcast, which will be coming out at some point here. And she said, there's power in the pause.
Yep.
So a good tie down, I want you to think about it in terms of this. Sometimes a tie down has to stay there until the client affirms. Have you ever been in a situation where you've used a tie down and you've said yes and the client hasn't said anything and they're thinking?
Yep.
Right? And you're right. And sometimes it feels awkward, but it's a powerful situation. I'll let you speak.
And that takes me back again to the boot camp, listening to one of the agents going through that, Ashton actually, and he's just learning this, and he's taken off and doing awesome. Mm-hmm. And he was dealing with a client that was kind of had a little bit of resistance, and he was going through the stakes, and you're talking about the pause there, and he went through that and asked that question and set in the pause, and he said he sat there for like 30 seconds. And on the phone, that feels like 10 minutes.
It does.
And then the guy goes, "Hello, you still there?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm still here." And the guy goes, "Well, why aren't you talking?" He goes, "Well, I'm waiting for you to answer the question." It was so cool to really embrace that pause. But these tie downs throughout the presentation are so crucial and they're so important. But guys, they're not difficult. You don't have to struggle on them. You don't have to figure out what was the one exactly did Roger say in that podcast. It literally can be anything. Mm-hmm. For example, Mr. Roger, most of the folks that we sit with are actually on fixed or limited income, and I'm assuming that's true for you too, isn't it?
Yes.
So really, affordability is a big factor, and really every dollar is important to you, right?
Yes.
So those are just two little ones that you can throw out just to let them know, hey, I understand you're on fixed income. Hey, I know your budget is limited. It's a way from letting them know that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm aware of that, and we're going to help move forward with that.
And you're giving them an opportunity to agree with it before you're moving on. It's totally different than you telling them.
Yep.
And I want you to remember that telling or selling is not telling, right? The idea of you're making a statement, but then you're giving space for them to come with you.
Yeah, and we always talk about, and we always preach being on the same side of the table as our client, right? We don't want to be across the table that's deemed as transactional, trying to make a deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We want to be with them. And even in the language and everything I do is I always communicate in we with the client, me included with them, because we're making this decision together. Yeah. We need to make sure we have enough to protect our family, don't we? Like we're always moving through that. So that mindset, and that is so important for us to be able to continue to communicate that. And what tie downs allow us to do is it creates commonality, that we are on the same side at the beginning, throughout the middle, and at the close.
Yeah.
So there's not this perception of divide or perception of them being sold.
Yeah.
It's we're on the same page all the way throughout the sale.
I would say the last big place to use the tie down is during the close. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get to what I always use as the big close. For me, it was, I never missed. My one big tie down, I never missed. And I felt like once I got a yes on this last one, it's done. And now I'm just helping them find the right plan and complete an application. But I would say during the close, soft tie downs lead naturally into that no close or that natural close. And here's that big one for me. If we could find something that fits into your budget, that takes care of this for your wife and your kids. And I would say their names, not just your wife and your kids, for each other and for your children, let's say. But again, I'm going to use their names because the stakes have a name. So say their name. If we can find something that fits into your budget, that's affordable for you, that takes care of this and protects your family, I'm assuming you'd want to at least apply for that to see if we can get you covered, right?
Yeah.
So the words "at least" in there are very powerful words because they're seeing that as the minimum. And you're making the statement, you're assuming that they want to move forward based on everything they've given you because you've tied it down all the way. Yep. And so they've been with you. Are you with me? Yes. You understand the importance? Yes, I do. I can tell this is important to you, isn't it? Yes. I can tell you this, you'd like to get something in place, wouldn't you? Yes. And so you're going to continue that assumptive close. And you're going to ask now that they at least want to apply. Yeah. And give them space to say yes. And too many agents skip that part and just run right in and want to give a quote. That's why we say no quotes given. Yeah. And by the way, our new merch store is up on Life Insurance Academy, Zach. It's up. It's live. And we've got the no quotes given t-shirts. So
I didn't see that one.
we got to get some on here because right now I'm talking about no quotes t-shirts and I don't have one on, but we'll have some on here in the coming days. But that's why we have a no quotes given, because it's not about giving a quote, because people get a quote and they're going to compare a quote. So people do with quotes.
About
they think about
numbers.
No, you're assuming they want to move forward and apply, and you're just helping them find the right option to fit their budget at this point. Here's another quick example in the close. I'm assuming, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that if we could find something affordable, if you to take care of Michael when you weren't here to take care of him anymore, that you'd at least want to apply to get this in place. Yes. And you would agree that having some thousand is better than no thousand. We'd all like to leave $1 million, but that's not always practical. And so in thinking about cost or price, having something in place, first of all, to secure the basics and the things that you want to secure is going to be the most important. And then we can think about what our budget can allow us to get to the things that we want versus the things that we need.
And the difference is when we're using these tie downs, particularly in the close, Roger, instead of you saying, hey, are you comfortable to move forward? And then it goes, well, it depends on if it's affordable or not, right?
Exactly.
You don't get those. You don't get those when you're doing that, because you're preemptively talking about that as well.
Yeah. So let's just talk quickly about how to master some tie downs here, and then we'll do a wrap. We've got 4 things to kind of give you some ideas. Zach, what's the first one when it comes to how to master some of these?
It's really your tone. You need to sound sincere. You need to sound genuine. You need to have some inflection. If it's a tie down that has emotional ties to it, we need to sound concerned and emotional. And it really helps if you actually are and you care about your client a lot. It really makes it feel different.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. You don't need to sound scripted, and you can say the same tie down in 2 different ways, and it feels and comes off completely different. So we want to be able to control that tone and move over. Don't be afraid of the pause. Don't let them off the hook. After you deliver it, don't start answering for them and go into the next thing. Let them sit in there. Let them feel that emotion. Let them apply those words to that emotion, which is going to be huge.
And if you're in the home, don't be afraid to make eye contact and keep it until they answer you and say yes.
Yep.
Right. It's hard to do that over the phone.
Yeah.
But, if you're in home, be there, be present, and be intentional when you ask those questions. Another area, how to master tone and timing, yes, but I would say consistency is greater than complexity here. Consistency over complexity. Sometimes as agents, we want to be the expert, the authority, so much so that we're just spewing information about what we know,
we're just trying to impress them the whole time.
And we're trying to impress and tell them what they're supposed to do. And I would say that simple phrases win here. You don't have to overthink it, right? Affordability is important to you, isn't it, Zach?
Yep.
That was simple. And I got agreement. So in putting together a plan, I know you want me to keep your budget in mind, don't you?
Yes.
I understand that that's one of your highest priorities, isn't it?
Yep.
These are all simple ways that you can bring this in. Tone and timing, consistency, and working that through your process. Don't make it too complex. Keep it simple. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. What are some practice tips here for people?
Number 1, sharing back to what I used to do, and whatever presentation or script you're using, understand that is going to be the bones, right? And if we want to add the meat to that, because when we don't just want to practice a script, we want to practice everything involved in it. And you may look at your script and realize there's a couple words or questions that I could ask that I could actually just switch to a tie down and it would work. But for me, I would add a tie down in every single section. For one, it's my quality control. I can get that micro agreement. I know we're on the same page, and I know I have verbal permission to continue to move forward, rather than saying, hey, Mr. Roger, do I have permission to move forward? Are you still willing to buy? Like, I don't have to ask that.
So do you want to apply for this?
Exactly. So my practice tip would be, look at your script, focus on where you can add tie downs, very simple tie downs in all the different sections. And then when you practice and rehearse your script, practice it with those tie downs in there. Before you know it, you will feel a different level of confidence, because even in that story where you talked about Jack and the client said, "Oh yeah, I'm really comfortable with your tone," it threw him
really
off guard.
Comfortable.
So if you're unsure if you should use tie downs or not, think, when I'm moving through my phone call or my script, do I feel anxious? Am I unaware or not as confident as I should be if they're going to buy or not? Am I getting to the close and it's a 50-50 and I'm giving them a number and then waiting?
That's called a quote.
Yeah. Then we probably should start implementing tie downs, because I promise you guys, if you start doing these and mastering tie downs, you will know you're closing the sale at the first stage of it. It will feel different.
You will know that your client is still connected to you and connected to the reason that they inquired and that they're with you.
Yes.
You'll feel it.
Yes.
Because they're tethered. They're tied down. They're with you. They're secured.
And to be honest, if they have any resistance at the end, you should be very shocked and surprised. And that also helps you to assume the sell and continue to move forward.
Yeah. So as a recap, everyone, micro agreements and tie downs, they create momentum. They build confidence, and they allow your client to move to a natural yes. Every great close is the sum of a lot of small yeses. It's the power of the incremental close, the power of the incremental close. So, team, I want to challenge you to track your tie downs this week. And like Zach said, look at your script, look at your presentation, and say, where do I have tie downs, and what are some examples of tie downs that I can place here, and practice your script with that in it. You'll be amazed at how much smoother your presentation is. And you'll be amazed at how many more families you help, and how different the sales process feels.
The engagement
feels.
It's
100%.
the amount that your client speaks versus the amount you speak will change everything.
Yeah. So we are confident that today's episode is going to change your results this week, isn't it? So aren't they? Did I get that right? Did I put that in the right tense?
A little bit.
The discussions you
guys would probably agree that if you implement tie downs in your presentation, it will change your week, not only next week, but every week, wouldn't it?
Yes, there you go. See, we're even right at the very end. So, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the Life Insurance Academy podcast. Check out that new merch store.
Yep.
Pick up one of those no quotes given shirts.
Get on the coaching calls, guys.
Come fun. Join us every week.
Come do a boot camp.
And when we're on the coaching calls, you can ask us questions live and in real time. And lifeinsuranceacademy.org. Check out that premium membership. We'd love to have you. Come to one of our boot camps, and we'll be able to hear you get an answer from a client that says, I feel really comfortable. And I'm ready to move forward. And by the way, he did get that application and sale. So
I hope so.
It's fun. It's fun to watch people win. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast.